Guys,
Hey, I would like to welcome everybody to the City of Idaho Springs, October 14th, 2024 work session. Currently, we only have myself and two members of council, so please bear with us. We do have 5 items on the work session, starting with the Clear Creek School District. And I would like to say welcome to everybody. And hi, thanks for coming. It's okay. I'm Chuck Harmon, Mayor. Nice to see you. And thank you for your letter of interest too. Tom, why don't you come on up?
All right, sounds good. Hands and stuff, that's okay. It's one of these too. You know what I'm talking about? Something like that. Yeah, packets. But if you want to get one there, don't look that way. But it's good scratch paper. But so anyway, we'll sit right here.
Yeah.
All right.
So comfortable, please.
Well, I tell you what, it's an honor to be in Idaho Springs in Clear Creek schools. That way, just here's some things here. This is probably police. Actually, come here from Iowa. I've been in Iowa for the last 26, 28 years, something like that. I was a superintendent there for the last 10 years. I was high school principal before that. Taught, I was curriculum director, taught social studies, taught PE, did some coaching, football, basketball, volleyball, hockey. I did a bunch of little different things that way. But you know, just I graduated from the University of Wyoming. My wife and I did. We got I got a master's in counseling there. My wife has a special education degree. So some things about me that way. I have 2 sons. I have a son who's at Washington State University, actually in Spokane, works at the med school. And then I have another son who's a freshman at the University of Wyoming. So he was just down this weekend. They had today off, so he spent a little extra time and I slept till 10:30 or so. He texted me saying he's leaving at 11, so I'm not sure what time he actually got up, but he had to do some laundry that he forgot to bring to the house. Anyway, that's another story. But anyway, some things about me, and when we talk about the Clear Creek schools, you know, there's some basic philosophies I have. And for some of you, I've met with some of you, or I've met you, if not met with you individually or whatever. But I believe in a few things. One of those is listening to people, be visible, and showing you care. You know, I think if we all did that, the world would probably be a better place. Just listening to other people, being around and hearing what's going on, seeing what's going on. I probably don't do enough of that yet. In all honesty, I don't know if there's ever enough. And then just showing care. The one thing I've stated to people is people want to be heard. And I know all of you know that people want to be heard, that they want you to listen to them. And that's people. You know, we all want to be heard. So just showing that you care. Student focus, looking at programs, what else can we bring to the Clear Creek School District for our students, PK through 12, whatever that may be. We've done some neat things with bike tech, ski tech, work study, that's the old terminology for it. We look at concurrent classes or those college classes that students are taking. Those are very important because we leave here to be successful in life, just like all of you do with our community here as well. You know, there's the aspect of community outreach, just being visible, faculty and staff development, helping them, because if they're not developed and pursuing the right things for students, then our students suffer. So it's really important we do that. And I think we can all say that there's always room for improvement. Myself included, and everyone, not picking on anybody, but we all have room to improve. And that's part of the philosophy that I'm trying to bring here. Process versus results. We have to look at the process that we're actually using to at the end. So we have to look at what process are we doing to get the result we want over here. I picked that up from my son's hockey coach. He used to say, you can do this, or you can do it right. Let's make sure we're doing things the right way. I think all of you would emphasize that as well, just doing things the right way and getting the results that you want. Sometimes that means feeling uncomfortable with what we're doing. It's a change. People don't like change, or like, I was say, at least people like this the way I like it. Okay, so just recognize what is the benefit of this change. The little diagram I have here is 40, and I did not make this. It's a former superintendent I worked with, but he's talking about 40, and he talked about with learning. You learn something, or you're taught something for 40 minutes, okay, and then you forget it. Like you're sitting in that class, you walk out of that class, it's gone, okay, or you learn something for 40 days. For that test coming up, that big unit test you have, you learn it for 40 days, and then you take the test, it's gone. Instead, we want those things to last for 40 years, you could say 60 years, 80 years, whatever the case is. We want things that are going to last 40 years, so you'll never forget the application of learning. Instead of teaching someone, I grew up on a farm, I know how to change oil, I know how to change a tractor tire, all those kind of things like that. Okay, those are things I didn't read in a book. Okay, someone showed me how to do it. You actually had to go out and apply your learning. When we think about learning, a lot of times in the blank or writing short answer, it's actually going out and doing it. And I think that's an area that, yes, we've been working on it. Yes, we have, in my mind, 40. And then the final thing I don't have on here, but it's something I've been taking on here. I've been kind of sharing the last month or so, not trying to just all get the Clear Creek nugget. It's online. It's been in there. Everyone has a story. Everyone in this room has a story that I don't know about. Everyone in this room has a story of maybe something that happened today. It didn't go right. You're in a bad mood about that. Okay, or whatever the case is. Okay, everyone has a story. You just think about that with students. That student who's struggling right now has a story. Okay, that student who came to school in a bad mood. What happened before school? Okay, that teacher came to school in a bad mood. That superintendent came to school in a bad mood. What happened before they came? So everyone has a story. Every student, every teacher, every staff member, every person in general has a story. And I think it's important to step back and recognize that everyone has a story. I don't know anything about your stories. Okay, I'm not asking for your stories either, but just recognize Chuck's story is going to be different than the next person's story of what they went through, what they have experienced, what their thoughts are, processing how they develop those thoughts. So that's a part there that I think is really a key thing to remember, and you'll be hearing more about that as we go through things. But I'm not going to sit here and read all this to you. If you throw it away, that's fine. Recycle it, ideally. But I'd say, anyone have any questions for me? I'd be dying to ask the superintendent someday.
Council?
How are things going at the elementary school?
Things are going well at Carlson there. It is if you have not been out there, feel free to stop in. Feel free to stop in. I'll take you around. Someone will take you around. We'd love to have you take a tour of it. I have no idea what it looked like when it was a high school, middle school, high school. I have no idea what it looked like then. I have no idea whatsoever. I know what it looked like when I first saw it in April. And my first question to Mike asked me, we were walking around, I go, "This is gonna be done in August. Are you sure? Are you sure it's gonna be done?" He goes, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be done." It's like, okay. Then I walked through in June. I'm thinking, it's gonna be done. Yeah, it's gonna be done. It's like 1st August. Okay, you sure it's gonna be done? But it's a beautiful building. They've done really great things. They're still fixing a few things here and there on weekends. They're around that way with some heating and cooling and things like that way. But it's going really well. It is an outstanding school building, and I think the learning is resembling that as well. It gives students space. It gives students an opportunity to explore. It's just an excellent building, and I think the people in the community, the taxpayers in the community should be very proud of that building. Hey, I put something in the weekly nugget too. I think it was like 31 million or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But just so you know too, a little reminder that some of the bond money went to the different schools, middle school, high school, King Murphy, and Georgetown. Roughly over 100,000 to each of those that way. Over $1 million to each of those that way. Over $1 million to each of those. So something, yeah, it's going well, it's going well. It's,
Any further questions? I have one, just a quick update.
yeah, sure.
Because it is something, I was in Congressman DeGoose's office a few days ago, and, he came and stood in the front lawn of the old Carlson.
Okay.
And that was a great point for him to view what the elementary school kids are going to be crossing to get over to the new school. So that was a good perspective for him. And also, he's got 2 young children of his own, so he gets it when, I mentioned these are children of ages where they may not necessarily look both ways before they dart out and stuff. So he said he was very understanding of the need to get him over safely with a pedestrian bridge. And I did let him know that we put in for a $575,000 planning and design grant for that, and also some what we're going to try to work with CDOT on a realignment about basically the first half mile of Highway 103 to try to get some really decent wide sidewalks and at the very least some diagonal parking, because we're trying to get ahead of the fact that 103 parking lot, in a perfect world, one of these days will be the new site of the fire department.
Exactly.
So I'm saying, this is the way we can trade that off, and it will be much more of a city street. But I was just thanking him for his support on that, and I think it's something that we, as a community,
When we talk about the old Carlson, just so you know, we have a resolution on the someone to market it, to sell it eventually. Looking at different uses. I don't know how many you have community meeting. We're looking at what kind of uses could it be that way. So you'll probably be hearing something about that soon too. I think they maybe reached out to the city sometime about some different things that way. They really want to work with the community when they get going, have some conversation with the community about what people who are interested would like to see some further conversation that way too. So.
And Lord knows all of us appreciate that very, very much.
Because I think it is important, and I'll say this, and I truly mean it. Where I was at before, I felt I had a good working relationship with school, had a good working relationship with the city and what they were doing that way. When I first took over, there was some controversy there between the two, and city manager and I just got together and said, let's work this stuff out. And we did, and we had a great relationship that way. And we want that same kind of thing to develop, continue, whatever the case is here, because Old Carlson is obviously it's on Main Street where people get off interstate. That's the first thing they see, aside from the gas stations and things like that. But it's important that we have something that is going to be valued by the city as well. Working with us together.
Well, thank you. Anything further? Tom, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in and speaking with us.
No problem at all. Thank you very much for having me in here, and I appreciate the opportunity. Feel free to contact me anytime. Anybody, feel free to contact me anytime to meet, whatever the case is. Take a tour of Carlson, whatever the case is.
Thank you.
Tom, how do people sign up for the Nugget if they're not already receiving your newsletter?
They can email me. They can fine. That's fine. The Nugget is online as well. So they can just go to our website too, but I can send it out with that direct link that way too. So it goes out to all of our families, and then several other people like yourself. Probably goes out to about 40, 50 other people, I think, in the community that way too. So it's hopefully something that people recognize that way. Sometimes it's like, I didn't even know any of this stuff. Well, that's okay. Maybe next week you will. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, have a great night.
Thank you. All right. Next up is building inspection and plan review. And welcome. Long time no see.
Yeah.
But this is something, that the city's been kicking around for quite a while. And I think all of us like the idea of having the availability of inspection, 5 days a week or even 4 days a week. It's quite an improvement over 2 days a week, half a day each day. So I'm speaking personally, I think we could have customer service and probably.
Thank you. So just to introduce myself, I'm Amy Saxton. I'm the director, and just FYI, that group includes the planning, building department, housing, the trails and open space department, and I represent the county on issues related to I-70.
Dave Danson, building official for Third Creek County Incorporated.
Yes. So we are here today to talk about the county providing building department services. We already provide building department services for Empire, and we are now looking at the possibility of providing those services for Idaho Springs and for Georgetown. I do you have the presentation that you provided.
It's in the package.
Okay, great. What I realize we probably don't have really a lot of time, right? You guys start your regular session at 6. 7. Oh, yay. Okay. There are really two big chunks about this project and what this process means. One is about codes, getting the codes aligned and how that would all work. What sort of code adoption Idaho Springs would need to do. There's some code adoption that the county will be doing to get us all aligned. That will be a big goal in getting this all to work. Another big part of it is fees. What are the fees that we will use to make this work, and how will that allow the portion of fees to be returned to the Idaho Springs that you're currently collecting? There are some important distinctions between hiring for Idaho Springs versus engaging the county to provide these services that are just an important distinction. I think, Chuck, you nailed it when you pointed out that there will be a lot of improvements in services that would be available. So I think that's very important to understand as well. So first, we just want to talk through a little bit the code adoption. And Dave, I'm going to have you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we're looking to have everybody aligned with the code that we're enforcing. So enforcement practices for Third Creek County Incorporated are the same across the board. We're looking to update everybody to 2021 code cycle year. There's already Colorado revised state statutes that require everybody to be on the 2021 IECC, the 2021. As part of this, so we can appropriately provide code enforcement for existing buildings and historic buildings without being overly burdened by things that are technically infeasible with those historic buildings, so we can maintain the characteristics of your communities.
The county does not currently doesn't have that existing building code adopted right now, so we will adopt that. The county is already on the 2021 code. I believe Idaho Springs would need to adopt the 2021 code along with the existing building code, 2021 existing building code. And then there are a few, do you want to talk about amendments, code amendments?
Yeah, so we have a few code amendments that we're bringing on to have everybody have the same design criteria for their structures. The few that stand out to me are the 42-inch frost footing, the 18-inch burial depth for the gas lines.
As opposed to 12.
As opposed to 12, which is climatic requirements for us here in the mountain, as well as a special amendment that we're going to put into the International Existing Building Code that gives the design committees of the municipalities authority to override the existing building code when it doesn't affect life safety, fire requirements, electrical requirements, things like that. So if there was a scenario where somebody wanted to move the building, there was a section of the existing building code, for example, that required it to have an updated R value in a wall. We could choose to amend that back out so we wouldn't have to alter that historic building.
So there's some work to be done there, but code adoption is one part of making this work. Does anybody have any questions on code adoption part? Okay, the second part is the fee schedule. And this gets a little bit more in the weeds, because we would like to have everybody be using the same fee schedule as well. That will be much more convenient for our residents and for people using this building department service, regardless of where you live. And the county is moving to a fee schedule that uses a formula to make sure that we're recovering 100% of our costs. So that the permit fee, the total of the permit fees collected equals the cost of providing building department services. Where that gets a little tricky is the costs that the county will incur to provide the 20% return to the municipalities.
To offset our costs.
To offset your costs, right? So this is where there's some more conversation to have. If we use, so the way this, if you looked at your packet, you can see on the building permit fee slide, it talks about how those fees are calculated with the valuation of the buildings and the cost of the department expenses, and that those two totals are used to create a multiplier that are used to calculate the permit fees depending on how that fee is calculated. To give Idaho Springs your 20% back, one scenario is that the permit fees in Idaho Springs would use a multiplier that was plus 20%. So that all the permits in Idaho Springs would be 20% higher than the permits in unincorporated Idaho, unincorporated Clear Creek County. So that's one scenario that would create that discrepancy in permit fees. Another way that Idaho Springs could consider approaching it is that your direct costs, Idaho Springs could determine what direct costs Idaho Springs is actually experiencing and realizing, and develop fee schedules and costs to directly recover your costs, so that we didn't have different permit fees depending on where you live, but you actually paid whatever planning fees, planning services that were happening in Idaho Springs were covered by fees that you were charging the customer directly. That's an option. Now, you may not have those fee schedules designed, you may not have those costs determined to figure out what you would need to recover. You may not know if 20% was actually covering your costs. All of those things are questions to determine. And those are also conversations we're having with Georgetown, and ideally.
The nice thing is you're just trying to ensure that municipalities are given a fair shake so that we're not.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we not only do we not want any of the municipalities to have that 20% be insufficient to cover your costs. You know, we in theory, you would want to know that 20% had a correlation to your costs of some sort. You know, we want to, you know, the county, we assume that our cost recovery should not exceed our expenditures, right? Yeah. And so that would be what we are shooting for. So that's the story on fees, right? We would be designing the fees to cover our costs and not to be making a profit, because we are not a for-profit entity. So that's one of the distinctions in dealing with a government entity instead of a for-profit entity. Is there anything you would like to add to that, Dave?
No, that was pretty well rounded, covered all the bases there. Nothing at the moment striking that we should add to the permit fee schedule conversation.
Okay. And just before we move on, I'm just going to take a quick question here with the council. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
We have a comparative opinion.
We do not have that. We have not prepared that.
But I will say that I think last year we had budgeted 101,000. And the bottom line, I think that Amy is illustrating is the bottom line, that we would not go in the hole. You know, so it would be for easy math, $100 in, $100 out. So we would just balance these schedules so that we're not incurring some kind of a deficit.
This looks like a fee based on per inspection, right? Are there annual fees that we would incur just to have the service? Or?
No, everything, so the higher the permit cost, the higher our fee would be. Right now, as we're figuring rough calculation before we have it confirmed, that's going to be about 2% of the total value of that permit, which should be pretty well in line with permit fees that you're currently collecting. Maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher. But that's all preliminary at this point. So we'll iron that out a little bit there down the road.
And I would think for most people, it'd be a tremendous benefit. I mean, think about it. If you have, rebar set and you're ready to pour concrete and you're going to have to wait 3-4 more days, just twiddling your thumbs because you can't get somebody to come up and inspect it. If it's costing ballpark what it was to have that service where there's daily inspection or business day, daily inspection, that's quite I would think a benefit everybody would appreciate.
That's going to help the consumer as well as the contractor because your project goes that much faster. Anybody that's construction knows the cost of money is time related.
Yeah.
It's highly beneficial to the contractors and the citizens of Idaho Springs specifically because they are going to have accelerated timelines because we are available for more inspections. We'll be able to be out for early inspection. We're doing all next day inspections at this point, and we can even get on site specifically before a concrete truck would arrive in most cases if they needed a pre-cast inspection for their concrete.
Do you have enough staff or capacity, or would you hire more?
We do. We are going to need to hire a permit services tech. And then we also need to just expand our current building inspector from half-time to full-time. So with 1.5 additional FTEs. And the permit services tech that we will hire just happens to already be a budgeted position that's been vacant. So that's one other program that is that we plan on initiating is a contractor licensing program, and this would be something we would hope we would roll out for the whole county and everybody would participate in. But this would be I'm going to let you talk about this because I was about to talk about something I really can't even talk about.
So the contractor licensing requirements is good because it provides minimum education and experience requirements for our contractors in Cook County. At the end of the day, that's helping the homeowners protect their valuable assets, ensuring that we have competent individuals that are performing this work. Because there are certain points of construction that we're just never going to be able to inspect. A good example that I like to give is fastening requirements. And we can see the head of a fastener, but we can't see what they drove in there. So the uplift requirements for the roof may be severely compromised, and we would never know. So the contractor licensing requirement is just going to be an audit of that contractor, make sure they're adequately insured, which is going to be a proposed $1 million limited liability policy. Then they have the appropriate work experience and education requirements to be performing the work that they're licensed to do. So it's just an added protection to the end consumer.
Is it licensing, local licensing, or a state licensing?
It'll be a local licensing that'll happen here in Clear Creek County. Electricians are still licensed through the state. Plumbers are still licensed through the state. And we will honor reciprocity because we are a smaller community. We're going to have a lot of outside contractors coming in who may otherwise be licensed in Jefferson County. Yes.
Idaho Springs currently requires that contractors who work in Idaho Springs are licensed in Idaho Springs, so we have minimal limits and that's it. So we already have that. We already currently do that. So it's nothing new for Idaho Springs.
Get any higher required standards for the licensing program regarding continuing education and annual exams or something like that, but
Part of our contractor license requirement, 8 hours of continuing education. And then to get your initial license, you'll have to pass a nationally recognized exam for the scope of work you want to perform for contractors, class A, B, C contractors. And then we will also have specific allowances for individuals that are performing a limited scope of work, such as like a roofing contractor, a window contractor, siding, somebody that might be specializing in the answer systems. So we'll address all of those independently.
Another question.
Yes.
You might get to this later, so I'm jumping the gun. So do you see this as like all contractors are gonna be licensed in the county, licensed through it? Not necessarily like through me for Idaho Springs?
Yes, ideally they would be licensed with the county.
Okay.
Say,
Big change. Yeah.
so you mentioned plumbing and electrical. I think Safeco currently provides those for us. We provide those.
No. By an electrical inspection, so those will go back to the state with the door.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Isn't it right?
I think
Not,
that's-
not currently, but that's what it used to be.
Oh, okay, sorry, it's been a few years.
Wasn't it student state?
Provides our electrical,
Because
right?
they have electricians, I think that's what I understand.
Because they can't keep up with that. So that's been, so we might want to check with the state and see if that's,
it is,
but they usually only provide it twice a week. I think.
the electrical will still be a pain.
The
We
state
will
elec-
not be able to improve the electrical inspection. That will still be a limiter.
so the state electrical inspector is in the area 2 times a week. They may increase frequency if they pick up Idaho Springs, you can have a higher demand for an electrical inspector. They might expand to 3 days a week. I'm not guarantee that by any means.
They currently,
Is Kelly has, so we're developing a relationship with them currently.
do
That's,
they do Georgetown also? So-
I can't speak to Georgetown.
Georgetown was safe built, so
So
they
we
probably have the same. So all the volume between Georgetown and Idaho Springs may increase what the state's willing to do.
So of course, those inspections have to work hand in hand with you as far as coordination and moving ahead of the project.
Right, we require all trades to be provided prior to our rough-in inspections being done, and they would have to have that electrical final approval before that permit would go.
Or to the next stage of the project.
Or to the next, yes, correct.
So a couple of other words on process. With things like what would sit with with Idaho Springs in this case, and how it would move through. Basically, whatever review or whatever process the town would need to complete before a building project is ready to move to the building department, even though it was with the county, right? In those Springs. And what we envision is some sort of certificate of approval or certificate of appropriateness or some sort of document that came from the town that applicant would be able to provide through the online portal or by handing it to our staff in person, whatever made sense before the project was ready to commence on our end, so that we had assurance that the project met your specifications, it was properly entitled, it was approved from any design perspective, historical preservation standards, all of those criteria were met from that perspective. And then we would take that project and work to complete the additional document collection, work with the applicant and continue to collect materials and move through the rest of the process.
You got, we would do instant issue permits if the municipality so wished for things like one-stop permits. I think you guys call them safe built. water heaters, mechanical, HVAC, whatever you guys outlined, it could be instant issue permits. We would make them as such in our system, so those could be issued 24 hours a day.
Currently, do we have plan review through Dylan the planner and also through Safeco for larger projects? You have to do plan review
Yes,
to meet codes, right?
yes, we'll still do a plan review. We'll receive site plans and building plans, structural MEPs, anything that would be necessary to demonstrate the plans, documents, and review. And we work with that individual review process. We have a targeted 14 calendar day review turnaround for their time. Once they get final approval, the city has approved it, building codes with the county has approved it, they'll have an issued permit once it's. So
Or does he work with you with any type of a code review?
who's
Dylan does.
I'm the city planner for
City
Idaho
planner.
Springs. So the way it works right now is they submit the permit to Wonder, really. We get it into the system program for Safe Build. Safe Build does a review that Wonder also refers it to me. I do the planning and zoning. So I imagine it would work similarly. But with that certificate of appropriateness or thereabouts, correct? It referred to me or they'd submit to me first. I'd review it for planning and zoning, approve it, go through whatever, and then they'd submit that with everything else, correct?
correct.
Yeah, and if there was a design and review board, it had to go through any historic
Yeah,
review
historic.
or anything like that, that would happen on your end. So there might be some slight adjustments as we work out exactly how the software that we're using would work, and whether we need some training for you. And Dylan, we'll be figuring out exactly how that would work, but any of our software is all web-based, so it could be on your computers as well. We would be able to figure that out. Talk about just a little bit is that there are, in some ways, we are providing a service that, in some ways you're hiring us to provide a service, but in other ways, there's a little bit of an analog that just like the state does electrical permits, in some ways, the county is doing your building permits. Is that sinking in? Because it's another difference between hiring Safe Build to do this work for you and having the county provide building permit services for you. We're very small, so we can be highly customized and really work with the county and make sure that all your needs and considerations for your community needs, your residents' needs are met. It is analogous also to the fact that the state provides electrical permits. You are, in this case, the county will be providing your building permits. I think that's an important distinction to understand. No, I think it's just, at the end of the day, it would be there would be authority lies at the end of the day, but we would be setting this up to not have it be with any firm lines around that authority, and making sure that there were exit ramps so that there were places where you had authority as well.
So the planning commission, if they had a problem with the development, would be the first step with Dylan in saying, we're not gonna do that.
Right,
Yeah,
So there is some other
It's
protection
total
for the
process.
city on its own.
yeah, absolutely.
Right, that definitely would be a
Right.
concern of mine.
they wouldn't even submit they shouldn't be submitting a building permit.
They would never get
unless
to
they've
building
gone
permit.
through
Through
those
the planning
necessary
commission anyway.
reviews,
Yes.
But sometimes even now, they submit a building permit to Wonder, and then it goes through Safe Build, and I say, you can't go forward with this because you didn't get your certificate of appropriateness from the HGRC or something like that, and then
Right.
it's just basically on hold in the system for sometimes,
How do you see this changing the planning commission?
I don't think it would change anything from my perspective, except for I would be working with the county instead of working with Safe Bills for building permits. It wouldn't change anything outside of building.
And then aligning us with the county, bill codes, is there any conflict of interest there? I mean, there's obviously, you guys have different rules for rural that we don't have in the city for building. Am I correct on that?
The county, there are some site-specific changes that would occur, but we could still apply the same building code as we do in unincorporated as we do in town.
Okay.
So that wouldn't be that big of an issue. As far as our planning review, we do have the ability to put a planner of Idaho Springs, we would submit or the same documents that we received. And then we can also put checks and balances in place prior to us providing a final certificate of occupancy, making sure Idaho Springs Planning Department has signed off on that permit. They can check box their requirement, and then we can issue that certificate of occupancy. So we can put all sorts of checks and balances in the system to ensure construction is not running ahead of.
I'm relatively familiar with this concept from the county perspective, because when I worked up in Summit County, the county up there contracted with like most of the other municipalities in the county for at least plant review or inspection or both. So I think it's a concept that works successfully.
That's great. And I think with Dave's leadership on this and his confidence and experience in managing the complexity of this, that this is also very viable. So next steps would be working towards getting Idaho Springs adopting the 2021 code, would help outline the details of this agreement. And then alongside that process, once we get those two steps in place, and you talked about what order that needs to happen, I think it might be IGA or second, but some code adoption work will take multiple readings, and so trying to get all of those things to dovetail as best they can. Will need a little bit of planning to figure that out. But and then we will of process. I mean, how we'll work with Wonder and Dylan, and working with our team, and how the getting trained on the software, and that shouldn't be a very heavy lift on those fronts, but how this will all work, and just trying to figure it out.
Correct. That we would inspect property lines, building grades, property line. Be inspecting any taps to your water mains, your sewer mains, your public works. That was a question, or if it comes up.
So what question? Did the county adopted the IDC?
We have amendments.
And
We would
if we
be
move
trying
forward,
to get the amendments aligned. Yes.
if we move forward, the county is proposing to provide us with a draft with the amendments, correct? That we circulate on our end, make sure we're comfortable with it before we play further with it.
Correct. The one thing that I am thinking about currently is we do have some site development specific appendix adopted in a wildfire mitigation that's specifically adopted. That would be easy for you guys to adopt or not adopt, enforceable in town or not enforceable in town. So those appendixes, we could probably work with those with what Idaho Springs specifically needed.
this kind of leads me to the second question. Personal for me, question for WUI code adoption, 2020 WUI code adoption with some amendments. With your stance on, well, I've already talked to commissioners about it, but it's also a separate conversation, but adopting the WUI code and getting away from the 1996 Summit County wildland standard, which actually doesn't work. For God, I'll say it anywhere. It's junk at this stage. The science isn't there. So my push is to adopt a WUI code within the municipal boundaries in the county as a whole, because that's actually something that's enforceable compared to what we currently have.
movie code,
Yes,
What is that?
2021.
that would be another thing to be part of this process. It's all having this conversation. It's probably 15 years overdue.
Yeah, seems like it's a good opportunity.
There's some benefit to that from how we manage Excel right away. As far as their mitigation practices and the right away model, so I think it affects all of us in a negative way. So
Is
that's
it,
what
is it like a cousin to the ICC?
it's an ICC code.
Oh.
Yeah. So the conversation's already started, just to give you a sense of, Empire's already on board, we came up with a plan development and plan to bring to this group here and after budget, but
Well, that seems
it's something
pretty,
that I think is part of this whole process that makes sense. Moving forward.
We
initial thoughts?
we will evaluate that and kind of see how that works in with our current wildfire mitigation plans are.
Yeah.
And what we have adopted within the county. They might overlap, they might align. But we definitely need to work with the fire protection districts that are in Gregory County on that. There we go.
I'm your guard.
So
That's another full disclosure.
we also have all 47 jurisdictions.
Yeah. But I mean, I think generally, Jeremy, that thought certainly makes sense at this opportunity while everybody's adopting.
It's kind of the appropriate time
To consider that, yeah.
I guess, jump off the bridge, go off the bridge.
Yeah.
Have something that's manageable from a code perspective.
Yeah.
Food goes easier to enforce than our system is currently using and looking for the county, so.
All right, thank you so much. I
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
you coming in. All right, next up, Chief, please. We're gonna talk about a couple of vehicles with some more upgraded engines.
Sure. Mayor, council, like I ask for money all the time. That's what I'm doing. So when we ordered those two cars that came, the ones that came magically quick, we had ordered the cars that had the EcoBoost or turbo engine. When they arrived here, we discovered that they were not vehicles that we had thought we had ordered. There was either miscommunication up front with the Ford dealership. The bottom line is we do need those cars, those vehicles that have those engines. One of them is already at Ford. The other one I was assured would be here either this week or next week. So we returned the two that were delivered to us. But in that, there's an additional cost of just over $4,000 per car. So that's why I'm here, because that's not what council originally approved. So I'm here to just give you a little background as to why there's an action item for the PD for those vehicles. And then as a side note, in our next budget work session, one of the budget items I told Andy that we'll have to address for the 2025 fiscal year will be the upfitting of those vehicles with all the emergency lights and the equipment, which is actually a pretty significant cost, but that's to be saved for next Monday. So that's the short and sweet of this.
Is the 4,000 like the return cost, or was that the cost of the car you wanted?
It's the cost of the car we originally wanted. They didn't billed us for the car that they gave us, which was the incorrect car. So it's just the additional cost for a little bit more power.
Important point is we got.
We do have to. I'm really hopeful that maybe this, after this next budget session and everything else, we wouldn't be talking about cars for a little while. So we should be good to go. So I would just wanted to make sure I had a chance to talk to council and give you all that heads up as to what we're asking for and get any questions.
All right, questions for Chief, anybody? All right, Chief, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next is Sadie with the Business and Community Promotion. Welcome.
All right, I'm gonna try to make this kind of quick, but I want to get the board interviews done as well, and we need to talk about it again. Maybe we talk If there are more questions, I don't want to brush over it too much. You guys got a report from me on stuff that we've been covering so far in the business promotion board. Obviously, we're still in the informal stages, but I wanted to let you guys know kind of where everybody's been talking, some focus on loading zone parking, trunk or treat is happening soon. There's been a lot of conversation around a fall decorating contest. He wants to take volunteers, take all the ballots for the fall decorating contest. That's what you were saying, Sean? Oh, I thought that was you volunteering to do that. Some action if you guys want to do, it's been a big thing from the residents and as well as the businesses of wanting to do a fall decorating contest. This board would be happy to do that if the city council wants us to do that. We can kind of figure out a way to collect nominations, and if you guys are interested in us doing that, promoting that, we can make that happen. But mainly the reason I come to talk to you guys is about budget. So the last work session we had with the group, the business owner group, we, with Andy's guidance, talked through this year's community promotions budget. So this group will now be helping give some oversight and guidance to the community promotion budget and how we want to spend it. And we are looking at this year's, looking at year-to-date actual of this year's community promotions budget. There's a lot of room for maximization in this. So these are high estimate numbers. I'd like to give you that up front. Also knowing that there's some good, like there's areas in the community promotion budget year-to-date. We're not spending what we're budgeting in a lot of categories, such as, you know, immediately like council has approved $10,000 to the Chamber of Commerce, and that's in the miscellaneous organizational requests. That can easily be just recategorized to put into the marketing and website category, so it reduces the ask. There also could be a consideration for us to audit what is the value of the miscellaneous organizational requests, and because year to date we've actually only spent 12,000 out of that 30,000 budgeted. So I didn't get the year to date until after I sent you this proposal. So there's still a lot of reworking that could be done to maybe even reduce the ask from right now. I'm asking for an additional 145,000. With some diving deep with Andy and I, we could probably even reduce that ask by moving some things around within the current budget, because for even pre-years, we haven't gotten anywhere near that $30,000 budgetary for miscellaneous organizational asks. So just kind of heads up on that part. I'm recommending removing some items from the community promotion budget, moving some things around. I'm not going to speak at all to anything to do with the Historical Society or the Visitor Center. That's separate, not our purview for this board. I'm mainly going to talk about adding 2 new line items to this budget, which would be the website and marketing line item, and then a salary for the position I'm currently contracted to fill. And then increasing the events, specifically the city-run events portion of the budget. First thing I guess I wanted to talk about is the importance of what is a forward-facing. In my presentation, you guys hear me talk a lot about forward-facing marketing plan. A lot of people think that means like that's just a marketing plan to bring people in. That's actually not what a forward-facing marketing plan is. What it means is a proactive approach versus coming at a situation once it's already happened and we're reacting. We actually have a plan. Let's use the perfect example of VCAM. There wasn't really a proactive marketing from city perspective, marketing plan on how we were going to manage them, talk to them, communicate with these new visitors to our community. We didn't really have a plan on how we were going to talk to them except through COMBA, which a percentage of the mountain bikers obviously receive information from COMBA. But from the city's perspective, we had no way to preemptively have a plan how we were going to interact with them, engage with them, specifically maybe target how we maybe tiered the approach of it, all those things. There was no plan. Now we're reacting to what's already happening. Same thing moving forward. We have Mount Blue Sky closing. We have heavy impacts from I-70 that are significantly impacting our businesses. We're seeing a reduction in our sales tax dollars. Then we're also talking about a downtown master plan reconstruction. If we don't have a proactive plan for how to market to the right people, to make sure the people that are coming to us while we're impacted actually have a good visit and want to come back, how to communicate with them to visit us respectfully, all of these things. If we don't have a plan, we're just going to continue to be reactive. So that's what a forward facing plan is. Mainly, it's bringing us up to standard with what towns like us are already doing, where we know we're a tourism-centric town. We know that's how the majority of our sales tax are generated. Most towns that have that have a Visit Us Right campaign, a way to make sure that our visitors know how to interact with us and are willing to do Idaho Springs right. So, Dawn, how do I share my screen here? So here, for example, is Visit Palisade. They are very, still showing that. Share this. There, that's pretty. This is Visit Palisade's website. This is their Do Palisade Right campaign. This is the first thing that comes when you go to visitpalisade.com. This is the first thing that comes up on their website, which talks about their message to the people that are in their community of how to be a good visitor. So we could adopt something similar to this so that, again, we're really talking to our visitors about how to be respectful within the community. This is what having a plan of action when we know that we're going to continue to see the impacts of tourism. This is a way we can balance the needs of our residents with the needs of growing and sustaining our tourism. So that's that website also. Well, there's also a similar. This is also the Visit Pagosa Springs website. They have a similar concept: be excited, be inspired, be friendly, I think is their next one, be relaxed, and be aware is their last. So again, similar way of the landing page of a website being both for our visitors, but also a community gathering place. When you look at Pagosa's website, this is also a place where they're talking about all of their upcoming events, where all of it links in with all of their nonprofits websites, all of their different events that are in the community. So this is a place to have forward-facing, really strategic information that's factually based. So instead of our residents going to Facebook to find out information on what we want them to know, we can have a nice platform that talks about what we need them to know. So something like this, not skip ahead, but we'll talk about the cost of something like this in a minute. First, want to briefly talk about, I asked for a full-time budgetary line item for the position that I'm currently filling. Mainly because I'm very strategic with my time. I'm stopping myself at 25 hours a week, every week. There's more, especially without that city administrative position. I'm filling in on a lot of meetings, a lot of city, collaboration meetings where they're asking questions, engaging with a lot of community residents, other business owners. I'm stopping myself. And so there's definitely room for this to be a full-time position here in Idaho Springs. Similar that this position is a full-time position in Georgetown, this could definitely be that. So I am requesting that we budget for it to be a full-time role, and then the board can guide on whether they want to hire that out or if I can take on that capacity. We'll talk about that, but I think it would be worth it to just budget it as a full-time role, especially as that assistant position isn't filled yet. Website marketing and development. So what I'm asking for is $80,000 upfront. Now this is a one-time ask. I'm not asking for this to be yearly. I think first things first is when we've talked to a lot of people in marketing, business, city, the first thing they ask is, okay, we want to do targeted marketing to make sure we're bringing the right people at the right time. We don't have a method to talk to them at all. The city website is a governmental website. It is not a marketing and communications website. The Chamber of Commerce has a defunct, non-existent web presence. We don't even have really a social media that Dylan and I can manage to figure out how to make work from the city's perspective right now. So we have no way to communicate, to really market to both our residents and our visitors the message we want them to hear. So I think it's extraordinarily important. We do have an existing opportunity. We could purchase This Is Idaho Springs. It is an existing platform that has already been built out, that's already been in the community for a while. Now it is currently turned off. It's not an active website right now. We do have a tech expert within our community, Kent Slaymaker, that has volunteered. He used to do this for a living, come in and do a deep dive into the value of This Is Idaho Springs. Is it still worth it? Because yes, could we build something that looks like it for less than or the same amount of money? Sure, maybe. What we can't buy is the SEO. We can't buy the SEO value. That's what takes time. No matter how much you throw at SEO, it takes time to build its value. And This Is Idaho Springs back in the day had extraordinarily valuable SEO. It was the first thing that popped up. It was everywhere. It had all the right information. Now it's only been off for about 5 to 6 months. So I don't think that that SEO has decayed too much. However, Kent is willing to dive in, get really clear, take a expert's view. He believes that that asset is worth it, that it's worth it to buy something that is plug and play, that we don't have to do anything to build it from the scratch. He believes that a well-negotiated contract with Frozen Fire and someone who's trained and is an expert in his field is able to manage and help with the transition over so that we own that asset. He thinks it can be very well managed. There's a lot of things that have been brought up about the customization of that website, that Frozen Fire built a custom coded website that is only like, can't just like, it's not like a Wix website where you can go in and like easily make a change. You need to hire a custom coder to make changes to this website. That is true. However, Kent is that custom coder. So he has the experience and expertise to that if we needed to make structural changes to this website, he could do it. And if it is so arduous that we're like, wow, we're having to have Kent spend 15 to 20 hours a week custom coding, he could build a plug and play platform in the back end, and then we can just link the existing SEO to that plug and play site. So it's a good, it's either the solution or it could be a bridge solution and it's existing already. That's kind of the direction we're talking about. However, the conversation is still on the table to just build something from scratch, which again, the only thing you cannot buy is the value of the SEO. Anybody have questions on the website aspect of that?
You have to approve for Kim to do this dive, or he's just gonna do it and report back to us?
He is gonna do it and report back to us. He's gonna report back to the business promotion board, and then I'll report back to you guys what they kind of decide and talk to. But Kent's gonna actually, Brandy from Frozen Fire has given the authorization. Kent can get into the server and they're gonna let him do like an actual dive into the technology itself. So we'll have a really good idea of what it's.
That's very generous of him to do that.
It is, and he's totally volunteering his time on this particular aspect of the project. He did say, however, that if it gets to the point where we're looking at doing a bunch of custom coding, he'd be happy to look at a friends and family contracted rate for that coding. However, this first portion of it, he just is doing it as a business leader in the community. He wants to help us get moving. So the next thing on that AD ask is the $50,000 towards marketing. Now, when we're starting to do something we've never done before, I think your council especially has spoken to me about really wanting to make sure we're spending our money correctly. And we're spending our money not advertising to have people come here in the summer in the middle of July on a weekend. Like that is all great. We have so much assets in our back pocket that we didn't have before. We now have Clear Creek Tourism that has this application called Placer AI, which if you haven't heard talk about, you guys have some attachments on some of the basic data that they can get. I have reports on Thanksgiving weekend from last year of where our visitors came from, where they visited. I mean, we get super specific. Then the cool part about that data is we can take that data and we can say, okay, we want to target, let's just use Boyd Hill as the example. People stuck in traffic who need our target demographic and they're within this certain perimeter. We can target them and send a text message to their cell phone if they have push notifications allowed that will then leap on their cell phone right away in real time and say, hey, stop in Idaho Springs and grab a quick bite. We know you've been stuck in traffic and you need to walk around or whatever it may be. We can direct that to them. However, that technology, sending that text message to that person, we don't have access to that technology on our own. That is very, very expensive technology that advertising companies are charging, especially with Placer and all these other AI and marketing companies. These marketing companies are predatory and they're charging large amounts of money to get people access to this style of technology. We, however, have been able to partner with Thrive Marketing. They are a PR company in Denver. They have been doing Bojo's PR and marketing campaigns for 15 years. They're very reputable. They're a thought leader and a marketing leader for municipalities as well as small communities. Through that connection, they actually are not accepting clients, like they are not out advertising and looking for new clients. They're willing to take on Idaho Springs as a client at a very reduced rate because of their relationship with Bojo's. And so we could offer at $1,000 a month, we would have access to them being able to take our marketing campaign and essentially market it to everybody out there and get us the best deal. So instead of us going to 9 News and talking to 9 News about doing a paid marketing campaign, which I brought to you guys already, you guys saw that with a $45,000 ask. Now you'll see this is a lot less money. That's because with Thrive Marketing, we'll be able to have them bidding for us, and they'll be able to save us significant amounts of money in those advertising dollars, plus access to technology that we'll never be able to afford to access as a small municipality. So it really gains our reach. Plus then we can partner with CDOT through some marketing campaigns, as well as profit or cost share a lot of this marketing campaigns with the businesses in the community. So it would be the city would pay in this much, and then it would be a business match. Businesses would match in to pay and again, increase our traffic significantly through those match programs. The mayor also just pointed me in the direction of getting some additional funding from the state, specifically geared towards the impacts that we're facing off of the I-70 construction project. I'm in touch with Congressman Nagusa's staff to gain access to additional funding. So I want you to know that I'm not just asking council to completely pony up the whole ask. I do, however, I'm going to look for grants as well as state funding, other ways to get us up to date. Honestly, we're behind. And so to get us to where we are in equal playing, and then we have that forward facing plan, especially for the next couple of years of heavy duty impacts. Does anybody have any questions on Placer or kind of what we would be doing with that? Cool. Last thing I want to talk to you guys about is increased spending on local events. Now, these events are specifically the city-run events, such as obviously 4th of July is its own line item, but then we have tree lighting, and then we have the other miscellaneous events, which ended up being Furlings Fest this year. There's a little bit of data about Furlings Fest that I think is
I
fascinating.
noticed 2,500 more visitors.
Yeah, and we did no marketing. I mean, like very limited marketing for Furlings Fest, I would say. Like
It was specifically marketed to dog people.
yeah, and honestly, the only marketing that was done was Tommyknockers doing the majority of the push marketing on that, because it was a co-sponsored event between Tommyknockers and the city, and then it ran the whole Minor Street district. So just by the city spending $1,800, we got a pretty significant increase in visitors year over year there. We also increased our stay. So our stay in 2003 was 80 minutes. And then we increased it pretty significantly to 97 minutes. So we can see the return on investment, which would be what I would be showing you guys, is that, again, we're not spending money just willy-nilly. It would be very targeted to do this. So for that, it would be a spring event, Furlings Fest, coupled by a fall event that would be an Oktoberfest event, also partnered with a business so that we're sharing the load. That being that we could spend $2,500 on each of those events on spring and fall. That $2,500 would be some minor street activations, some, advertising specific for the event, just kind of really making sure we have a consistent, well-run event. And that's a low end budget, but I think it works for when we're doing those business city partnered events. I'd like to allocate an additional 4,000 for smaller events during the minor street market season for micro events. When we had the tiny micro event things out for 4th of July, we got so much feedback. We got tons of positive feedback about those things. Those are low asks to have little block party events throughout the summer that are geared to our, more than anything, our residents, because they're after peak hours, they're during the week, they're fun things that we can do to bring the residents down into Minor to experience some fun things as well as sponsoring the literary festival, the skate nights, the school district's trunk or treat. This will just add us being able to be an active sponsoring partner in those events. I built in a contingency fund into that category. And then tree lighting. I think the theme is that tree lighting, it would be cool for it to have as like a full weekend event, like a kickoff to the holiday season event, being that it has something on Friday that's maybe geared towards supporting our nonprofits. That's something that's very on trend, is having Black Friday be representative of nonprofits in your community, how to raise funds for them, kind of the opposite of the big box store kind of concept. A hot chocolate walk, having each of our nonprofits in a place being able to serve hot chocolate, talk about their nonprofit, those kind of things. Then having the tree lighting, and then a kickoff big gingerbread competition and holiday market featuring all of our own local artisans. That we can easily get that for that 3,000. Last year, we had 12,000 visitors to the downtown area and 21,000 visitors to Idaho Springs during Thanksgiving weekend. What I found shocking is that the #1 zip code of those people was Idaho Springs. So the people that enjoyed our town on that weekend after Thanksgiving were our residents. So what better way to show them how much we care about them and how much we appreciate them is that kick off to a fun holiday season. So I thought that might be a great way, instead of doing a end of summer party or something like that, do it at the kickoff for the holiday season. There are already our top market during that period anyway, which we all found shocking. We talk about our target market a lot, but I think really the important thing to remember here is that we are already very well known for our events in Idaho Springs. 4th of July, Rapid Grass, even the more challenging events like Memorial, this is a way for us to really get strategic about how to make us an event hub that's beneficial to both our residents and attract new people and potentially even new businesses into our community. And then I want to make sure you guys knew, again, I mentioned going after some state funding. Local businesses are very interested in these partnered asks where the city spends this, the businesses match to really pull our asks. This is not something, we're already doing this. So we're already Idaho Springs is featured as well as the Argo and the Loop. So these kind of collaborative marketing situations have already been happening. Grants, there's a lot of grants out of the state as well as the federal level towards Main Street initiatives. We would apply for many of those. We could qualify for many of those. Of course, having someone on staff that's an expert in grant writing would definitely help us a lot as we can move forward in those areas. That's definitely, there's a lot of potential there. I did also attach for you guys a brief action plan so that you know that this board would go in. This is not adopted by the board, obviously, because they're not existent. But this would be proposed to them to make sure that there would be levels of transparency, that you guys know exactly what you do throughout the process. That is what I'm saying. Question?
All right, we are our board, and for a few members who were not able to be here today.
Yep, do you want me to do that now?
Well, I will ask for you to do that. just want to make sure nobody has any further questions for Sadie.
I don't feel well.
Of course.
I'm so sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
I apologize. See you guys.
All right, I hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I do, Paul.
Oh, yeah, Paul.
Are we continuing with fireworks for Fourth of July celebrations, or are we trying to?
We do have one last year, don't we?
We do have
We
one
have
more
one
year
last
on the
year.
contract.
So we'll be starting to talk about that, and then this board will be a major contributor in that conversation about what we wanna do. Do we wanna do fireworks? Do we wanna look at alternatives? So we've already started kind of having that conversation.
Yeah, I think we need to, because that's a big deal. We can't last minute it.
No, absolutely. No, it's absolutely, we're already starting to talk about it and looking at what alternatives might be. We do have 1 year left on the contract, so we'll be starting to talk about that first part of 2025, for sure.
All right.
Good deal.
Any further questions? All right. See, we had really good response from folks regarding interest in the board. I was really pleased to hear that. I think probably all of us have heard we have great participation right now. I mean, we have the meetings and it's once a month, and we often have 10 to 20 people from the business community. They really show up to this. So I know we had a few that were not able to be here,
Yeah.
and if you wouldn't mind, I'll go ahead and speak for them.
Yeah. So first,
Mayor,
I'm
Yes.
one point of order. Do you want to set a time frame about 3 minutes for?
I would.
applicant?
I would, yeah. We are gonna go a little over.
Yep.
But we actually have a pretty short agenda for our regular meeting.
And point of clarification, how many board members can be appointed right now?
6.
Yeah, so we are going to have 6 that we will choose from. There are automatically, Sadie will be one, and then we will have a representative from the city. And it could be a council member, if we have anybody interested. It could also be a city employee, such as an administrator or an assistant administrator, for example, just as long as we have a representative of the city.
So is it including you, but?
I'm the director, so they're gonna like,
Yeah.
I'm like
So
the
7.
employee of the,
Right.
so 7 board members, 6 business owners or representatives, and then a city staff member.
And Mayor, just so you know, Alex Dunn, who's one of the applicants, is on
Oh.
Also
that's good to know.
Katie Yard, I believe, is on. I think she's Zoom.
the Zoom.
All right.
user.
I believe she's Zoom user. I believe that's Katie Yard.
Very good. Sadie, we will start with you speaking for those applicants who are not able to be here tonight.
Yeah.
And I would like to try to keep this to within about 3 minutes. My question, if chosen, would be, do they have a preference for a 1 or 2 year? Because we need to resolve that. And if they don't, I would like a number from 1 to 8. And there is no wrong answer. It's not a trick. It's just because some of these numbers will end up being a 2 year and some of these numbers will be a 1 year. And that way it will be decided tonight. And I think all of us would like to know and benefit from what is their current involvement.
Right. Awesome. So the first person I'm going to speak on behalf of is Bruce Monton. He's the owner of Pickaxe Pizza. And he has requested his interest. Let's give him the floor. That's his number.
Okay.
Bruce has been a vibrant member of our community, and what I think would be really awesome about making sure that he feels and knows that he's representative is he is interested in finding solutions, and while he hasn't been able to come to a lot of the meetings, he does engage with me in a very healthy manner. We talk a lot about initiatives and working together and being collaborative, so I think that is some strong points for Bruce. He's been in this county for a very long time and has owned Pickaxe on the corner. He doesn't say how long, but I would assume we all know how long that is. Okay, next person, I'm the owner of Clear Creek Wellness and Clear Creek Acupuncture. Let's give her 6 as her number. Amy has been very involved in the process so far. She was the former president of the chamber. She's worked really hard at making sure she is virtually able to attend the Vitality Task Force meetings. She's very interested in making sure that we're finding collaborative solutions that represent our residents. She does live here in this community with her family and her children attend Carlson. I'm also gonna speak on behalf of Ashley Brooms. She is interstate parking. She has been a part of the chamber board as well as very heavily involved in the vitality meetings and any meetings, obviously, because she works for the parking company. She's been an excellent partner in being able for us to work together to find collaborative solutions, especially such as being able to live update the parking map when we have events, finding special, like doing the over and above, like event parking, those kind of things. It's been very helpful to have her as a part of the process. Let's give her number 2. And then last person is Lindsay Valdez. Lindsay, obviously, as all of council knows, is the president of Clear Creek Economic Development Corporation. She also owns 2 brothers. She's been very active in the vitality meetings since the inception of them. She comes with a lot of expertise when it comes to grant funding, alternative funding, marketing expertise, as well as having a financial partner with CCEDC is something that gives her a lot of experience. Let's give her number 8. All right, those are the people I'm speaking for.
Thank you, Sadie, appreciate it. I would like to call up Steve next. And then Katie, if you're online, I'll just give you a heads up. I'll be requesting your participation next. Hey, Steve, I just feel that, well, first of all, if you wouldn't mind, any number from 1 to 8?
No.
I'm sorry?
Your choice.
Oh, and do you have a preference on 1 or 2 years?
Probably 2 years. I'm gonna be showing up meetings anyways.
All right. And if you wouldn't mind, please tell us your level of involvement today.
Well, I kind of show up for most events and most meetings, involved in a couple different boards and project support with Jeremy, the board. I've been involved in this group that's being formed in different forms of it since the beginning of COVID, when it started as like the vitality task force. So, I guess my main asset is I show up.
Agree. Council, any questions for Steve? And I should also let you know, there will be no secret ballot, so you will have to localize your 6 choices tonight. And well, Steve, I want to thank you because you're here at virtually all of these, and I say you're a steady hand on the wheel. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Well, actually, Steve has made it easy because he had a preference, and we currently do not have enough people that are expressing preferences. So a number will not be needed for Steve. Katie, Katie R, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us
Thanks
tonight.
for having me.
And do you have, if selected, would you have a preference of 1 or 2 years?
2 years for sure. Here for the long.
Okay. And please tell us your level of involvement.
Right now I have none. I recently just got both my kids into school full time, so I have the availability to give my time elsewhere instead of just being a full-time mom at home. I also feel like I could be beneficial to the board because we own businesses on the east side of town, which a lot of times I just don't feel like we're part of the conversation at all. So I'd like to be involved just to, you know, have a voice in what we do and how we market things in town, for sure.
Okay, you beat me to the punch. We actually have had no one from the East End, which is very important and suddenly becoming.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially it's going to change all of town forever. So yeah, I definitely want to be a part of it, part of the conversation.
Does council have any questions for Katie? Katie, I want to thank you very much, and we will be voting tonight, so you'll know very soon. And,
Cool.
and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Tara, please come on up. Tara, do you have a preference if chosen, 1 or 2 years?
I don't.
Okay, all right. And would you choose a number from 1 to 8 for me?
What's answer?
You can have 1, 3, 5, 7.
do seven's available.
All right. And then, first of all, I want to thank you. You are at most of the meetings, and if you wouldn't mind, let council know your level of involvement, please.
My current level of involvement, I've been kind of holding back to see where the trajectory of this goes, just with the chamber kind of dissipating. And then I guess sort of my season too, my professional season, I have been a little bit more hands-off, but in direct communication with the city and some other community members about what's about to happen next. So. Yeah.
All right. Any questions for Tara? All right. Thank you very much. Sure appreciate it. Oh. All right. And let's see here. Jean, please come on up. Jean, if chosen, would you prefer a one-year term or two? 2 years? And would you please let council know your level of involvement?
This is my first time being involved. I've lived in Idaho Springs for about 2 years, trying to get adjusted. My husband and I run this in town. We retired in Korea and then moved to Colorado permanently. We feel like we've adjusted a bit, so we want to be more involved with the city and whatever it is that we can do.
And thank you. And we of course have your letter as we have been very fortunate to have letters from everybody. Does council have any questions? All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Mayor, we do have a person online.
Oh,
when you're ready.
I'm sorry. Who else do we have? Oh, yes, Alex. Hey, good to see you. Are you able to hear us? I see you got the mute button on. That pesky mute button.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can, and Alex, same question. If chosen, would you prefer a 1 or 2 year?
I have no preference.
Okay, and then please list a number from 1 to 8.
We'll do 1.
I'm sorry.
You can have 1.
You can have one. All right, and would you please express to the council your level of involvement?
So really, I've just started attending meetings the past few years. I try to make them when I can. Obviously, sometimes business doesn't allow me to because I am running the store at Bojo's, but would like to step in more so Chip can maybe take a little step back and I can come in and, do that part for him. But otherwise, really just doing what I can to try to support and be involved in the community when I can.
Yeah, I think a fair statement is you do make most of the meetings and it does seem like you're very involved. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Does council have any questions for Alex? All right, well, Alex, thank you very much. We really appreciate your participation.
Of course, thank you guys.
And let's see here.
Lana here is the last one, Mayor.
Yeah, Lana, please come on up and welcome. And Lana, if chosen, would you have a preference on 1 or 2 years or no preference?
I do not.
Okay, all right, then oh, wow, you're paying attention. Thank you very much for making it too easy for us. Lana, I read your letter of interest and if you wouldn't mind, let council know your current level of participation.
So, we're new to Idaho Springs. We just opened Club Hotel in January. So we've been getting the lay of the land. I was recently appointed to the Clear Creek County Tourism Board, and so I'm starting to participate in that as well. And so I would say that I don't have a history of involvement. My history of involvement has mostly been down in Jefferson County with my kids. But my kids have graduated now and they're both at college. And so,
now I'm ready to go be part of something else, and this is just the next best place to go, because we have a business here, and we're excited to be here, and hoping to be here for a long time.
All right, very good. Does council have any questions? All right, Lana, thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. By the way, magnificent job over there. Just really impressed.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of the new business permitting that you're talking
All
about.
right.
That would have made our lives easier.
Oh, good. So we're very glad to hear that. That is going to conclude all of the items on our work session. It is 7:02. Let's go ahead and take 5, and I'll see everybody back here in just a few minutes.
Wonder if they left and then we can just spare. Perfect. Who do you spare? I think.
I'm just curious. Why, just for the 3 years, the other board, like, waiting a job versus, I don't know. I don't care. Okay, I
She said, get down to brass tacks. It was, however, it was all. It was a like of nature saying that she was saying, let's be squeaky clean.
that makes sense. I was just wondering. I was like,
It was a good question.
Just.
You know, I really feel good too, because there's such a high level. But we still have 10 or 20.
Yeah.
You know, so.
No, it's great.
You know, they'll just be 6 official, but I bet we'll have them anymore.
Yeah, no, they.
One other thing I will not here next.
Go.
It's really good. My 91-year-old grandma who lives in Richmond.
That's
so
great.
It's hard to pass up those opportunities.
Have you told him?
No.
Oh, if you
I will
would.
not be here next Monday.
Okay.
I will be in Richmond visiting my very elderly grandma.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Until they open it, but it's the same agenda everybody got sent.
Yeah.
Well, Janine, you have some comfort in knowing you have some long lived genes. Right? We should all be that fortunate. 91 is a good run. That's great.
I jumped online on YouTube because
Heck yeah, absolutely.
And she's like still like.
That's the best. That's the best.
Another
Maybe, I don't know how much.
My grandmother on my mom's side smoked like an absolute fiend. And I don't know if you ever known anybody like this. She would always, and I mean her whole life, light one cigarette off the other all day long. She never weighed 105 pounds. All that poison in that little of a body, like one off the other, all the other. I have no idea. I mean, they need to do a medical study on how she made it to 85. Blows my mind.
We have a flashing lights cross.
I
We don't really need to.
What are
we talking about? The same, like round two or different?
We're just, one thing that would be different is, Andy hasn't had an opportunity to elaborate much on admin. And that really is like the last biggie. And, I think we have adjusted everybody else.
You're talking about their cars?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was happy we got through the ones with major changes.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Yeah, we barely have quorum. Oh, you're good? Scott, please come on up. I would like to welcome everybody to the regular city council meeting for October 14th, 2024. And we will call this meeting to order at 7:09. And I'd like to start off with, first of all, welcoming everybody. If you did want to speak during the public comment period, if you haven't already, please sign up. And members online, welcome. I'd like to start off with roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Here.
Janine Mariani.
Here.
Jim Clark. Scott Pennell.
Here.
Lisa Manifold. Kay Collier. Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Here. All please rise. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please. And I will note, we just barely have a quorum here tonight. I'd like to begin with approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda for the October 14th, 2024 meeting.
Thank you, Janine. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Scott. And any discussion of the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Does anybody tonight feel they have a conflict of interest? All right, then hearing none, I would like to move to approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes from September 23rd, 2024.
Thank you, Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Janine. And any discussion of the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then we'll move to the bills through October 14th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the bills through October 14th, 2024.
Thank you, Jeremy. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
And thank you, Janine, on the second. Any discussion?
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones. Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. And public comment is up next. Everybody has 3 minutes. Please do not be offended if we normally don't have a back and forth in public comment. It's our time to listen. And I really appreciate those. It's never easy speaking in public, coming up and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you, Andy. Oh, good, very good.
Oh, we don't.
Okay, all right. I'll check in with you at the end. Kim, please come up. Kim from Wall Street. And welcome.
Thank you. Can you just state your name and address for the record, please? My name is Kim Steele. I live at 1414 Wall Street. Thank you. Idaho Springs. All right, I've got some visual aids. Here's a copy of the capital improvement rating where Wall Street received the upgrade. Here's a map of the streets owned by the city of Idaho Springs in that area. Here's the current engineering and assessment and progress spreadsheet from the city. And then here are pictures of the road damage on 14th, 16th and Wall Street. So I've lived on Wall Street for the past 12 years. During that time, the road's been maintained in the summer by Public Works. Over the years, when the road was really bad, I could reach out to John Mardoni and more recently Paul Crane, or fill out the report of concern on the website, and service would happen within the week. As you may know from the 2017 study by the city, Wall Street received a grade F as its condition, and this condition has continued to deteriorate. This year in June, I spoke to Paul Crane about my concerns regarding the condition of the road, and he said that he would fill out a work order to have it improved. I checked back in with him a few weeks later and did not get a reply. I reached out again after another week and still no reply. I then tried going to the City of Idaho Springs website to fill out a report of concern, but the link was inactive every time I went to the site. I then called Andy Marsh and we spoke on the phone and he said he would check on it. After 3 weeks passed with no road maintenance, I called Andy back and he said he would make sure it got done. A few more weeks passed and I went ahead and called the mayor and he said he would look into it. Weeks went by with nothing changing. I ran into Paul and I asked him about Wall Street and why we were being overlooked. And he said he had asked his guys to do it. The widening of the ditch on 16th was finally filled in and smoothed out on Thursday, October 10th. Wall Street was not graded and the damage on the top of 14th was not addressed. I'm here to ask that regular maintenance is prioritized and be performed on Wall Street, especially after it rains. Additionally, I would like to ask that a four-way stop be created at Colorado and 16th Boulevard to prevent accidents. With increasing in parking on that block, pulling out is very difficult. Thanks for your time.
All right, Kim, thank you. Next up, we have a Crowley from 1516 Wall Street. Welcome, and thank you for addressing council.
Can you just say your name and address for the record, please?
Sarita. It's spelled Sarita. Last name Crowley, Crowley. And this is 1516. So the first thing that I'd like to address, whether or not we actually have public access rights to on 15th going up to Wall Street. All the schematics that I have seen show that there is a right-of-way access. However, currently the property owner 1504 Virginia, I think it's 1504 Virginia Street, has put up a fence blocking the pathway coming down. And so I guess my request of the council is to get an understanding of whether or not we do in fact have right-of-way access, because my husband and I do in here into downtown, as we love to enjoy the restaurants and shops. And that's it for that one.
Oh, thank you. And Casey Jordan from 1420 Wall Street. Welcome and thank you for coming.
Good evening, guys. How are y'all?
Can you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Casey Jordan, it's Casey, then Jordan, Jordan.
And
1420 is.
Thank you.
So here tonight to also address the Wall Street road condition. I've lived here for 6.5 years now. I kind of feel like when I first moved here, they would plow that street and then during the winter time for snow removal. And then I felt like it kind of got swept under the rug and has been almost ignored. For And like Kim was saying, the hill down to 14th Street right there has been deteriorated, and I feel like it's gotten worse this past year. I know last year the city did some work and added some old, crumpled up road pieces to help. Then I felt like within a few months, it was just kind of back deteriorated again. Also a few years ago, my wife, when it was snowing, she had gone down one morning that hill and actually slid her car into that wall right there, and we had to fix the vehicle, and it costed a couple $1,000 in damage. Luckily our insurance took care of that, but that's just a big inconvenience with getting all that done. I'm basically just here tonight just to kind of reach out and request for a little help for maintenance on the road, as Kim was saying as well. Just for that. So.
All right, well, thank you very much. Sarita, are you wishing to talk about this wall? It's another item.
Yes, so to continue on to everything that has just been said regarding maintenance, there's also deterioration on the section of 15th and Wall Street. I actually, similar to what Kim was recently saying, I went to go report a concern, saw that the website was down. I actually ended up calling the phone number on the city website. I spoke to Wonder, and she had said that she believed that to be the homeowner's responsibility. However, when you look up from 15th Street, there is you can see it's directly in front where the wall is starting to deteriorate and rock slide has happened. It continues to get worse since I reported the concern. I did ask at that time when I had initially reported it that it could be looked into, as I didn't believe that it was a homeowner's responsibility. I did believe that it was public property where the damage was, and was told that it would be investigated. That's been, I don't remember the exact date of when I reported that, but it's definitely been over a year. It continues to deteriorate. It's getting worse. I do have photos on my phone that I can provide to the council if need be. I guess lastly, I never heard anything back as it related to reporting that concern to see if it was going to be addressed, if it was on the agenda, if there was going to be anything to fix the problem.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I know all of us on council appreciate when folks come in and let us know of these deficiencies, and anyways, I think everyone has done a very eloquent job of that. Last up, we have Michael from 1500 Wall Street. Welcome, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. I'm Michael Caston.
Address, just name and address.
1500.
Thank you.
This whole thing on Wall Street is mind blowing. About 3 or 4 years ago when I moved here and the habitat thing was happening, Andrew and I think the planning guy at the time, a couple of them went up to Wall Street. We walked it together. We talked about maybe figuring out how to improve it. Stuff was maybe going to get done. It's amazing that this is still going on. That's all. I'm just, I have a house up there, and people are, I'm falling all the time. I can't get down that road without falling. It's very difficult. And I'm I'm going to read something of a guy who lives up there. And I'm just blown away that road something doesn't get sorted with that. But here's my friend Tim, who lives up there, and he writes, I'm requesting the city continue maintaining Wall Street as has occurred in the past. It is clear simply grading the dirt road that comprises the street has become less of a focus over the past 2 years. I can only conclude the city maintenance department has become less motivated to assist over that period. Soil erosion from the street down 16th to the Alps has been a problem for years. Again, in the past, city maintenance has been responsible for grading the soil back up the hill. This year, they allowed it to become a ditch despite repeated requests for assistance. I can only conclude city maintenance is progressively less willing to fulfill the obligation. Both the ditch created down 16th from Wall, as well as a 3-day delay in clearing the street of snow earlier this year, leads me to believe the hill is not a priority despite its visible nature to both tourists and locals. Do I still have a minute?
Yeah, oh, sure,
okay,
go ahead.
one can argue, it's okay. one can argue the city has no responsibility for the maintenance of Wall Street, given certain current easements. I think he's wrong. According to this, what Kim showed me, while true that does not absolve the city and its maintenance department from ensuring 16th and 14th streets are safe to travel. I'm an industrial safety engineer by career. I can assure each of you the 16th Hill was not a safe road for most of this year. I asked the city to release funds to apply additional road base to 16th at an angle to allow drainage anywhere but this. You know what? I don't know if I'm running out of time, but
Michael, just a minute.
Thank you. Okay, so here's the thing, okay? So I've been living here and so many people are always talking about that road. Everyone's complaining about the road. Everyone's finding it dangerous. The people who are at my place are constantly, a guy yesterday said to me, Michael, I've been living in rural Vermont my whole life. I've been dealing with such roads. He just said this. I didn't even ask him. He just said, Michael, that road is unbelievable. Like that road is the most dangerous road I've ever been on. So whatever, maybe it could just get on the agenda and we could properly discuss it and figure it out and all come together. And maybe the people on Wall Street could all, make their proper, figure it out. And it should just be on the agenda. And then the one other thing I want to say is I'd also love to get on the agenda the possibility of increasing short-term rental licenses. Because I don't come but I'll come to more meetings. But it would be great, and I have a whole good argument. And I'll just say this: towns under 5,000 people, every single one in America, and how many short-term licenses they have. I did like this whole little study for an hour or two, and it's incredible how few Idaho Springs has compared to almost every other town in America, and how many licenses they give with populations less than 5,000 people. Idlewild, population 4,000, has 500 licenses. I made a big list. I could give it to you guys. You all probably know this already. I'm done. Thank you. It'd be great if those two things could get on the agenda.
I want to thank you. It's never easy speaking in public, and we really respect folks giving of their time, caring enough to give up part of your evening to come in and address council.
Sure.
And thank you very, very much, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next up, I'm sorry, I wanted to check in with you. Do we have anybody online?
I didn't have anyone join since the start of this meeting, unless Alex or Katie, who talked at work session, they're still on, but I don't think they were the ones who were going to talk. No one else has joined.
All right. Well, then, thank you. That will conclude public comment. We do not have anything with liquor licensing, so next up will be appointment of board members to the Business and Community Promotion Board. Jimmy, I would fully understand if you're not able to participate in that, since we did not here for the interviews. I will go last as a tiebreaker. I guess in this case it won't be a tie, but we need to pick 6, and then we will be assigning by the numbers that were chosen by the individuals, it being 1 year or 2 years, though we did have a few that expressed an opinion. Numbers. Jeremy, I'm sorry, let me not waver from procedures. Wonder if you wouldn't mind, go ahead in roll call order, and we'll ask for the 6 names from each council member.
Okay, so can you just walk me through a little bit what you just said? What would you like me to do?
Sure. In roll call order,
okay.
We will call on the 4 of us, and we will ask for the 6 names that they would like to see on the promotion board.
Do we have to say last names?
Just
because I need to.
Well, I think there was one situation where there were 2 Amy's. Otherwise, I believe, we have different names. So first name should suffice.
So isn't there a possibility exists of a tie with equal votes for?
Oh, yeah, how would?
No, but I mean,
If you
total
were to be a
tally of
tiebreaker.
votes, I mean,
Yeah,
there
but
could
what
be a few
year?
people that get 2 votes or 3 votes or.
Right. I say, in the interest of a good procedure, Jenny, let me ask you, are you comfortable in voting on 6 members?
Sure.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think.
All right, because
I'm winging it.
you did receive, well, you did receive.
You're
in the
right,
packet,
you're right.
6,
Yes, you're correct.
or actually, there were about 9 letters of interest.
Yeah.
And in that case, you'll be called on for the 6 names that you would like to see on the promotion board. Again, only if you feel comfortable, there would never be pressure on that, but that would make it so that I would be the tiebreaker. And then wonder if you would not mind, if you would go down in our current roll call order amongst those of us who are here, we'll express our 6 choices.
Got it.
Is there a need for any alternates on this board or anything like that, or?
No, that will be, any future vacancies will be handled by that board.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Okay, there's a list, so Lindsay, Lena,
I'm sorry, you said Lindsay first, and then did you say Lana?
Yep.
Okay.
Alex, Jeannie, Catherine, and Steve.
And before we go on to, I just want to make sure before Steve, who did you say?
Catherine.
Catherine?
Yep.
Katie, that's Katie, Mayor.
Oh.
Sorry, her letter of interest was entered under,
Oh, I appreciate that clarification. Thank you.
yeah, Kate, that's Katie.
All right, next up.
Janine Mariani.
Lindsay, Steve, Katie,
Oh, sorry.
Got it?
Lindsay,
Okay.
Steve,
I'm sorry, after Katie?
Katie, Tara.
Okay.
Is it Jenny? Yes. And Lana.
Lana.
So I didn't want to say last names, sorry,
All right, thank you.
Jim Clark.
I'm gonna go with Jeremy. Lindsay, and is it Lena? Lana, sorry.
We'll get right eventually, I promise.
And Jimmy, I just want to make sure, who did you say first?
Lindsay.
Lindsay?
Yeah. Alex. Is it Jenny?
Yes.
Well, okay. Katie, Steve.
And who was your last one?
Steve.
Oh, Steve, yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Scott Nunn.
Amy Miley, Lindsay, Steve.
Well, you're going too fast.
Amy Miley.
Yep.
Lindsay, Steve, Katie Yard, Alex, and Lena.
All right.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
All right, I will go with Alex, Steve, Katie Yard, Tara, Bruce Boynton, and Lana. I'm sorry, did I only vote 5 on that? That was 6.
No, you have
Okay.
Alex, Steve, Katie, Tara, Bruce, and Lana.
All right.
I think I have it.
All right.
The envelope, please.
And I want you to know, after Wonder reads the names,
Scott.
we will assign the 2-year versus 1 year.
Okay. So from my count, I have Katie, Jenny, Steve, Lindsay, Tara, and Lana.
Can you read that for me one more time, Linda?
Tara,
Okay,
Katie,
okay,
Jenny,
okay,
Steve,
okay.
Lindsay,
Okay.
Lana.
That's
All right. At the start of each interview, I asked the participants to give me a number from 1 to 8. Not knowing which one would be 1 year and which one would be 2 years. Fortunately, we're able to honor the 2-year request that specifically came from Katie and Steve.
And Jenny too.
And
Sorry,
Jenny, yes, thank you. And Jenny, I did have all of those. The others will be 1 years. And that way we will have a good stagger within the board. We won't have a large turnover. It'll be about 50% of the board will be turning over. I also want to thank those who have participated. And I really, my heartfelt thank you. And I hope that you continue to come to the meetings. And we'll continue to have them once a month, perhaps even more frequently if the initial setting up of the official board. It will be official, which is a big difference. However, you've always had a very important role to play with us, and the participation has been excellent. I think all of our goals would be to continue having excellent input. One difference I want to point out now that the selection has been made, for the first time, we have very good representation on the East End. We frankly didn't have any representation on the East End. And anyways, I want to thank everybody for their participation. And again, I really hope that all of you continue to participate in the board. It's very important. So thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
I have availability to swear in the members that are here and.
That would be wonderful. I would say that you won't have to come back for those selected, please. Thank you, Winter. That was an excellent gift.
Who would like to be first? Ladies.
I'm gonna, give this to you, because I'm gonna read and have you repeat, and it's easier for you to read along. Bullet. Okay. I, Tara Worley, do solemnly declare and affirm that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Idaho Springs, and that I will faithfully, well and truly, and to the best of my skill and ability, perform the duties of Business and Community Promotions Board Member for the city of Idaho Springs, upon which I'm about to enter.
I do.
Excellent, thank you. Right here.
Thank you.
I, Lana Hearn, is it right? Lana, I, Lana Hearn, do solemnly declare and affirm that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Idaho Springs, and that I will faithfully, well and truly, and to the best of my skill and ability, perform the duties of Business and Community Promotions Board Member for the city of Idaho Springs, upon which I'm about to enter. I will. Excellent, thank you. I, Jenny Kim, do solemnly declare and affirm that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Idaho Springs, and that I will faithfully, well and truly, and to the best of my skill and ability, perform the duties of Business and Community Promotions Board Member for the city of Idaho Springs, upon which I'm about to enter. Excellent, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wonder.
Do we have Katie? Can I do it on Zoom?
I personally think that should be allowed. She's,
You can come in and sign it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you bring Katie?
Yeah, it looks like Katie has unmuted.
Hang on, I can't hear you. Something's going on. Huh. I can't hear you. The audio is muffled.
They're about every meeting anyway, so, all right, I want to say thank you. So now we have our full complement. Very good. All right, and Wonder, again, thank you very much. Next up is our finance officer with us tonight. Okay, then we will move on to resolution starting with number 23. And do I have a motion?
Resolution number 23, Series 2024, a resolution approving utility easement agreement between the city of Idaho Springs and Public Service Company of Colorado, Virginia Street.
Thank you, Janine. Do I have a second? And I'm sorry, Jeremy, did you say, oh, Scott? All right. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Janine Mariani. Jim Clark.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. We have no ordinance first reading, so we will move to ordinance second readings, of which we have a couple. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 19, series 2024, and ordinance adding a new article 5 of chapter 5 of the Idaho State Municipal Code to establish the Business Community Promotion Board.
Thank you, Jeremy. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Janine. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Janine Mariani. Jim Clark.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. And next up is ordinance number 20. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 20, series 2024, ordinance enacting a new section 7-5 of the Idaho State Municipal Code to authorize the city clerk to refer local FCPA complaints to the Colorado Secretary of State as authorized by state law, House Bill 24-128.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. Do I have a second? Second. Second from Scott. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. I don't believe we have our city attorney with us tonight. Next up is city administrator, and Andy, thank you for your report. Just wanted to ask, did you have anything? Yes, important reminder. Thank you very much. And Janine had asked for a preview on that, and I think the only thing major was you giving us your report on admin.
Yes.
Budgets. So I think we got through the meat of the others.
There'll be a little more discussion on the budget as well.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. And next up, Dylan, did you have anything to share with us tonight?
Yeah, I wanted to quickly mention at the last meeting, when we talked about the extended stay hotel ordinance and tabled that, seeking a joint work session. I did talk with Planning Commission. Their next scheduled Planning Commission meeting will be November 13th. And I just wanted to see whether that would work for the majority of council, or if we would prefer to do it on a council night, a traditional council night. The Planning Commission said they're all available and could set aside, say, an hour, 5:30 to 6:30, something like that before a regular meeting. But if that doesn't work for folks, if you want everyone there, that sort of thing, they're open. So I don't know if we need to decide now, but in the next
Well, thank you. It actually is a pretty short agenda tonight, so I would ask if you have the ability, go ahead and look at your schedules and see if November 13th would work.
Or I know it doesn't work. Yeah, I have a board meeting for my job.
Oh, work. They were open to scheduling it on Monday as well. I don't know if we want to just how we want to do that.
Let me take a quick look. See if we might be able to swing this.
I just want to have enough time to be able to get out the notice to all operators, and also if the other thing the Planning Commission mentioned was trying to get it posted in the paper and things like that, so that way if there's anyone living in spaces like that would certainly be affected, they would also have an opportunity to attend if
that's a good idea.
If possible. But I want to be able to give folks 15 days notice, or at least like a week or so notice to send out. So
our first meeting, regular meeting in November, would normally be the 11th, but that's a holiday, Veterans Day holiday. So it's our practice to push the meeting back one day to Tuesday, the next day. So that'd be Tuesday, November 12th. right now, I think we could do a 5:30 to 6:30 or 5:30 to 7 session before that meeting. We don't have anything on the work session quite yet.
And normally we would hold our meeting on the 6th, but we may not just have our regular meeting potentially on the 12th, and because we are setting up a special meeting anyway.
I will tell you, my availability is there on the 12th. I don't know how others are. Jeremy, Janine, you're good. Jimmy, you're good. And Scott's good.
Okay, so we should have 5 at least. I can reach out individually if it would be appropriate, at least in case.
Sure.
To try to get their availability, but I imagine even if everyone can't attend, we'd want to coordinate with planning commission, try to get everyone there as well.
All right, backup date just in case that doesn't work for planning commission for some reason. I know. So you're suggesting that
Because, like I said, the 6th would be our normal regularly scheduled meeting, but at least 3 of the 6 at the moment would be out.
Right.
So we wouldn't have had a quorum anyway, so we were going to push it a week, but I could just ask them whether the 12th would be a suitable night. Okay. And just do the regular meeting on a Tuesday instead of
Did you
Wednesday.
do that and then city council at the same time now?
Well, what I was anticipating doing was like a hour work session beforehand and then have regular meeting after, like we would hold a council meeting.
There will be council that day.
we're having a council meeting that evening.
Oh,
So because of the holiday, we're having to push the meeting from Monday to Tuesday, so we would have a regular meeting that night.
So then I could, and I'll have to just schedule a different date or just cancel the regular meeting for the month, which is fine.
Do you need a meeting for planning commission for another reason or just for this joint purpose?
Well, I have a few regular meeting items, but if it's not like a public hearing, it would just be approving staff related things.
Okay. The reason I bring it up is maybe the following Monday or Wednesday might work.
Sure.
As backup dates. I don't know if that works for council, but if you're still planning to have a meeting, you just push it back one more week.
So the 12th or the 18th potentially could.
The 18th of November as an alternate, is that correct?
Yeah, with that.
Okay.
Potentially.
Let me just take a look here.
This is challenging because we're dealing with two different. The 18th is an off week for council typically, but of course we're having extra meetings with budget anyhow. And then if you wanted to combine it with planning commission and other business you have, Dylan, maybe the 20th might be an option.
I personally, I have a Dr. Cog on the 20th.
Okay.
But I am open on the 18th.
So we can do the 12th or the 18th. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Perfect. Well, that was all I had.
Okay, Dylan, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Wonder, have your report and a huge standout, 1,500 calls in 20 business days.
It just keeps happening.
75 a day average.
It just keeps happening.
I want to thank you for reporting that because we did not used to report such
Sure.
things. And that really brings that into focus. Thank you. Sales tax, we're up close to 3% for the year, so it's not quite keeping up with inflation, but probably within 1.5%. I think most folks would look at it. Down about 0.67, I think, percent for the month. Wondered, did you have anything further to share with us tonight? Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Chief, there is a request for action and do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve $8,080 additional for the 2024 Eco Boost Ford Explorers.
Thank you, Janine. A second, okay. And please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. Chief, did you have anything further to share with us tonight?
I just wanted to thank the hard work that Andy put in and the engineering JPA and the architect team. We did get the RFQ out on the street for the new building, so that process is in process.
All right.
So it's good news.
Very, very good. Well, thank you very much. Moving on to Public Works. We have two requests for action tonight.
Mayor, I will also have a third request. I have some, it kind of came in late, after the deadline, but because they were past due, I thought
Paul, we did see the heads up on that. Yeah, it was something that council had previously discussed, but really hadn't taken formal action on, correct?
No, that's one thing. That's part of this packet here, but this was legacy traffic control, what we were doing at the camp. This was asking for additional funds because it ran over about a week and a half.
Oh.
So we had approved for about 3 weeks worth of traffic control, and they ran 4.5 weeks.
I got you. Okay. I would like to entertain a motion on the first action item.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of gateway data collectors from Core and Main in the amount of $56,320.20. Line item 51-72-7320.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jimmy. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. Second item, $645. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve additional funding, excuse me, the amount of $645 for the state application by Joel Harris, MMT LLC, from line item number 10-21-5430.
Thank you, Scott. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Janine. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. I'd like to take an extra minute here, just so council has time to peruse the invoice.
And I wanted to tell you that, again, we ran about 4.5 weeks on that construction of that emergency trail. We had approved through council $30,000, and that would have accounted for 3 weeks of traffic control. And that's what this is. These were 2 bills that were past due because they exceeded the amount that had been previously approved, and that's what I'm coming back for is the approval of the extension of funding for that traffic control.
So this is in addition to how much was the original?
The original was about $30,000. And that was for 3. Yes, and those are on top of that.
And if I could say something too,
Yes.
it had to be used this last weekend by emergency services. So we had somebody that was pretty badly injured. And, they did use that trail to access that person and get them out to an ambulance. So,
Well, good, glad it's there.
yeah, too.
Do I have a motion?
Need a motion to approve the additional funding for traffic control facility construction of emergency access Virginia Canyon Mountain Park. The amount of $12,775 from line item 21-00-6032.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Scott. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. Paul, thank you for your report, and just wanted to see, did you have anything further to share with us tonight?
I do not. Thank you very much.
And I would point out the new public works facility is amazing. If you have a chance, I would encourage any member of council to take a look. It really is almost surreal compared to where they used to work.
I think we're trying to look for a date about the 24th, is that right?
We're looking at several dates. We're just trying to find a date that works for the most people. So we are working on a celebration, late afternoon, to have a celebration for the community to.
An open house.
Yeah, open house.
Invite, definitely the community to come by, check it out. Council is always welcome down there to check it out.
Well, I think it's something we all can be very proud of, and I know we're looking forward to that open house. Thank you. Ed, thank you for your report. I just saw one item that was high with our goals, and everything else looked pretty good. Which one was high? Let's see.
Or higher.
It was yeah, like Core LC. If I can find it here in the packet.
I just closed it on my phone.
And it's supposed to be like 3.7. Let's see here. Well, I'm close. It is 3.7. And it's the CL2 dose. And the goal is 0.7. The CL2 dose.
I'll explain that now.
Okay.
That's not even the right one. So the 3.7 is the actual dose rate. That's being dosed at the water plant. And then the 0.7 is what we dose at the water plant for a goal of a system residual in the system. So you have to dose a higher amount at the water treatment plant in order to satisfy the demand. And then it also dissipates over time. Right, so we can get, like, our end of line would be a 0.7. The rule is nothing less than a 0.2 anywhere in the system. Right.
Okay.
So it can't be more in the system than a 4 or less than a 0.2.
Gotcha.
So, and it's a factor in determining what kind of disinfectant byproducts you're gonna make. So the more you have to dose the water treatment plant, the more disinfectant byproducts there would be when you have TOCs. So all of those things on that line all kind of intertwine with each other and are related to each other. So right now the TOC level is below a 2. So I've turned off the coagulation system because we no longer need it. So if we're below a 2 on the TOC, we won't have a disinfectant byproduct problem.
Ed, thank you for explaining that. And let me ask you, how's everything going for you?
It's going great.
Excellent.
They're making excellent progress with the dam.
Yeah.
It totally looks like they're gonna make their deadline of end of October. All right, so we should be able to get that turned on for the winter. We'll probably be, if not extremely close to what our budget amount was.
All right. All right, good deal. Well, thank you, sir. I'm up next, and we do have an action in your packets. There was a letter of support for the BEAD grant. And do I, Andy?
Mayor, this was just informational. We did speak with you about this. We just wanted to get it out. We want to make sure council.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to, make sure that is council all right with that letter of support? It only benefits our community. And also, speaking of benefiting our community, I went to speak with Congressman Joe Neguse in Boulder a few days ago, and he really understood our plight, where I was pointing out, we're all big enough to absorb some short-term pain for long-term gain, speaking of the I-70 project. However, we are in the position of having to endure long-term pain for long-term gain, because this is going to be going on, we know, for 4 more years if it's on schedule. And I asked for his assistance if any way possible. And his suggestion was actually very insightful. He was suggesting perhaps working with the governor and freeing up some funds for some marketing to mitigate the negative impacts for Idaho Springs and Georgetown. Because Lynette from Georgetown, the police judge, also had indicated that they were experiencing a slowdown. And I was only pointing out, it's just human nature. Once you're tied up for an extra 45 minutes, you're just far less likely to stop and much more interested for many of us in making up the time. So of course, it's going to continue to have an impact on our business community for the next 4 years. And we only hope it doesn't get worse. So I wanted to give council a heads up. No guarantees, but it was really very, very hopeful that we have some help where we need it. And we're looking into getting some additional money freed up for that. I would point out that we are going to have, as Andy pointed out, we are going to have another work session, and this will be budget matters coming up on Monday. And our next regular work session will be in 2 weeks. Does anybody have anything that they would like to share before we adjourn? All right, I want to thank everybody. I think